Good deal. Sounds good. Sorry, I can't talk more right now. In the back of the room, you can move a little forward. Introduce yourself to Miss Ellen. Hi. Hello. One at a time.
How's it going? I'm. No, you're white boy.
Speak up.
Come on. Wait, what? I'm sitting.
Let's take over here. Speak up. Kimberly. Take back to the back.
My name's Max Pedro. My name's Mikey. My name's Mackenzie.
Hi everybody.
Hi.
Nice to meet you. I saw your little YouTubes of your I am. So some of your faces I've That's pretty cool. They have the ones that are here have some work on the back, and I have the ones that aren't here. Nia asked me to do the parent section, and I have two class.
wasn't me.
Oof. Miss Young, when is she gonna come on?
Probably at 9 like we originally planned for.
It's gonna be like 9, like 3 minutes.
The person whom you're trying to reach is currently unavailable. Please leave a message after the beep.
That's a wow. Since I see you, hello. No. Hello.
Maybe if I do video instead of.
The person whom you're trying to reach is currently...
Whoa.
I don't remember my own Skype name. Hey, not happening.
I'm sorry. Watch your mouth, young lady. Hi, Brad. You're my best friend.
there.
Hi.
Okay, I can't see you.
Can you see us now?
No, I can only see me. That's a bummer.
Hold on. Let me work it.
Okay.
I don't want to blur my background.
Yay!
Hi.
Hi, good. How are you, Kelly? Are we recording this?
We are on 3 different computers.
Oh my goodness. How's everybody?
Good.
And Ellen's here. Hi, Ellen.
Hi, Nia.
Oh, where are you?
I don't know where the camera is.
Oh, there you are.
I don't know where the camera is. So.
Oh, wow. How fun is this?
Very. Really fun. Fun. Sorry. Did they move the post?
I have about half the kids here today.
Okay. Is it half because you're almost done?
Yes.
Wow. Today's the last day, right?
Yes. They dismiss at 11, and a lot of them don't have childcare after, so.
Well, I'm so glad to have all of you here that are here. That's pretty cool. So what's going on there? What's on your agenda for today, Kelly?
Talking about your book.
Talking about my book. Okay, I'm so excited. First of all, I just want to say thank you to all of you guys for engaging in this book. It's my heart, and I have seen so many people have their hearts open up to it, and it takes a willingness. It takes a real willingness. And you guys are doing it, and you're changing the world as you do that. And you got to know that. You guys are our future. And so right now, as you open your hearts to things that you know that are deeply true, you start setting the path for the future for all of us. So thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you, Miss Young, for having the courage to follow your heart in creating a curriculum around it and inviting your kids into your curriculum.
It's been a good year. Good year.
So how do you want to do this? Are there things that anybody wants to share? Does anybody have questions? This is wide open. We have no structure.
Well, they have work that they've been doing. They have it with them. So if they want to step up to the computer, that way you can see it more clearly, then they can talk about what they've been working on.
That would be wonderful.
Any volunteers? Unfortunately. Okay, so you take your work right up to the computer.
This is so exciting.
Okay, see where you are in the little corner? All right.
When we made this not too long ago, it's a little thing, it's 2 hearts, and it says love is, and we were supposed to write what love is to us and what it means, and I wrote quite a bit on it.
Oh, that's beautiful. You know what? I saw that shape that you guys created, and it's so beautiful. Ellen, did you see it?
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's almost like the Vesica Pisces, right? Out of the heart. And so you guys know what the Vesica Pisces is. If you think of creation as just a circle, the first movement out of it creates an overlap, like 2 overlapping circles, just like that heart. And it's so beautiful. Do you want to read anything to me or just show me?
Well, I wrote basically that love is trust, and it's where you can keep your secrets, and it's where you feel comfortable.
That's... Don't you wish, Ellen, we could put it that simply? What more do you need?
For your book, we had to do a retold, and this is mine. We have to draw the pictures, and then we have to draw and describe.
Wow, beautiful.
It's basically just a story, but we retold it.
In your own words.
Yes.
And why do you think that's important to retell it in your own words?
Because then it gets really carved into your brain, and then you can remember it, and you can remember it in a unique way too, in your own way too.
That's right.
And we did a one-pager on it too.
And what's the instruction on the one pager?
We have to write the main idea. We have to write Costa level questions and just a large summary of the book.
Beautiful.
And a few pictures too. Another one-pager that we did was the I am one-pager. And we were supposed to write all kinds of information and facts about ourselves.
Now, I see the word Trinity down the middle. What does that mean to you? Did you choose that word, or was that part of, is she asking you to do a trinity of things within it?
Oh, that's my name.
Trinity?
My name's Trinity.
Okay, beautiful. That's funny.
We did a larger one-pager. It's called the I am one-pager. And we were supposed to put, it's not a I am, it's a college and career pager. And we have to put what we want to do, what we are planning or might want to do when we get older. And I chose 3 just in case.
Oh, that's awesome. And it's called another, this is also called an I am, but based on college career?
Well, it's based off of us, but it's our college and career. It's not called an I am, it's called a college and career.
Got it.
These were hung up on our wall outside.
Beautiful.
And that's it.
You want to be a singing basketball player. What was the other part of that?
They're separate just in case I don't make it.
Well, you know what? Let's reword that, because you're going to make whatever you desire. You're blossoming into what it is you desire. And your desires are always going to shift and change and evolve. They never are static. They're always growing. So to put 3 things is what you're doing is you're bringing your awareness to the things that are in your heart that light you up. And then as you move through life, they're going to evolve. And so it isn't so just in case you don't make it, it's you're leaving room for the evolution of your desires. And that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yay, Trinity.
Is there anybody else or any questions you have? Okay, you have to speak up.
I don't think she can.
Go forward to the screen where she can see you. See that little corner of the screen? That's you, right there.
Do I just?
Ask your question. Say your name and ask your question.
My name's Kennedy, and what inspired you to write this book?
Can I see your face?
Sorry.
I'm looking at your shoulder. Okay, go again. Ready, take 2, and go.
My name's Kennedy, and what inspired you to write this book?
Oh. Okay, first of all, how do you spell your name?
Kendali.
Beautiful, Kendali. What inspired me to write this book? I felt like there was something I needed to say. I was trying to work something out in my own life about divorce, actually, and relationships. And this analogy, I just woke up in the morning and I had this analogy of this little farmer and this apple tree. And so I wrote out the analogy and I spoke it to a friend of mine, and he said, that's a children's book. And I went, oh, it is. So I went upstairs and it wrote through me in about 3 hours. So it wasn't really a goal, it was an inspiration. And I just follow those lines of inspiration, and that's what happens.
And I think that's true with anything in life. You know, when you have an inspiration, it's really important to follow through with it. Just if you feel like it wants to write itself, then let it write. Or if it wants to sing, or if you want to take it for a walk and contemplate it, because those little inspirations are leading you somewhere. And that's how it came to happen. And so I wrote it in 3 hours, and then 3 days later I had an illustrator, and 3 months later the whole book was done. So it was really just following that line of inspiration. Do you guys know have you had those experiences before? You know, where there's just something that you feel like, ooh, that's kind of cool, and you follow it? Has anybody ever had that experience?
Yes.
Trinity has her hand raised. Go out.
You want to share with us what that was? That's okay. You don't have to. What about you, Miss Ann?
Yeah, I have
Has
them all the
Missy-
time. That was my journey this year with this book and this class. So ended up
Can you
very,
share?
very well. Oh, Trinity wants to share hers. Go for it.
Mine, I got a lot of inspiration from my friends, and they were just like blurting out stuff, and I just wrote it down, and then like I just wrote it, and it just kept going, and I was really interested in it, and it was like very inspirational because my friends helped me with it. So
Okay, wait. Sit down so I can see your face. Okay. Okay, go again. Thank you.
well, my friends because we wanted to meet each other in the summer, and they were giving me ideas, and I just writing them down, and it just kept going. Even though they weren't blurting out ideas anymore, I was just still like, and it was really interesting to me because I don't like get that much ideas that easily, but it was really cool because it just kept unraveling by itself, and it just wrote itself too.
Yes, and that's how it works. And Trinity, thank you for sharing. That's really amazing. And I think it's an incredible it's incredible that you have that awareness around the way that it feels, because it's a different feeling than when you have to do homework. Usually, right? I mean, you know, sometimes you get stuff you have to do, and you just have to sit down and push through it, like you got to do your math, or you have to clean the house, or something like that. But there's a different feeling when you sit down and you feel like writing it, so it writes, and then it's almost like everything opens up, and then stuff easily starts coming. And there's a lot of science behind why that is so now. And so one of the things that we're going to do today is I'll let Ellen help share some of the Heart Math Institute science. There's an institute up in Northern California called the Heart Math Institute. And they're scientists that study the heart and why it's so powerful, and why it's so important, and what the feelings are behind being in the heart space versus just the head. So one of the things that they found out was that the heart is 100 times more magnetic than the brain, and it sends way more signals to the brain than the brain sends to the heart. And all the other organs in your body, they line up almost like an orchestra does to a conductor. You know, have you guys seen an orchestra with a conductor? Yeah, and what's the conductor doing?
It's leading them.
He's leading them, and he's keeping the beat, and he's telling them when to come in. And the whole orchestra, all these different instruments, are following the conductor. Well, that's what your heart is. Your heart is the conductor of every organ in your body. And so what happens is when you release that force and you feel into it, the heart will let you know when you're getting into this space of what we call coherence, where you actually are accessing more than just your brain. And so all this other information outside you starts coming through. And it's a beautiful thing. How many of you guys are athletes? Okay.
Practically the
Have
whole
you ever-
class.
That's, you guys are all athletic too. That's pretty cool. So how many of you guys have ever heard athletes talk about getting in the zone? Yeah? Okay,
In the zone.
getting in the zone. Does anybody back there want to explain what they think that is or what they've heard about it?
I can.
Raise your hand. Whatever, you're a sports person. No? When did you guys become shy? That's what I want to know.
What's it feel like when you're in the zone?
shy now, but he talks so much.
It's practically where you're just like really in the game. Like you're in the game and you just like forget about everything.
Okay, did you guys hear what she said?
Yes.
Yeah. These guys are gonna.
So we have some boys that
Oh, cool.
are
Okay. Wait,
volunteering.
you gotta come this way so I can see you.
You have to see yourself in the corner of the screen. Can you see yourself?
There you go.
All right.
Hey guys.
Hello,
Hi.
Who I got
Introduce
here?
yourself.
My name's Andrew.
my name is Santos.
Cool. Hi guys.
Getting in the zone means like you're getting prepared for whatever comes at you. So, for whenever you play football and they say they're getting in the zone, they're training for it. They're getting ready to go play in the NFL or for a Super Bowl.
So what is the difference between getting in the zone kind of training and training physically, like running and push-ups and all? What's the difference between getting in the zone and training physically like that?
Because like when they're just like running and doing push-ups, that means they're just like practicing. And when they're in the zone, they're like getting ready for something like
Training your
something
brain.
that's coming at them.
For getting ready for anything that's coming at them.
Training your brain
Training your brain
There you
to,
go.
to be able to handle what comes at you in life and like stuff.
stuff. So
Yeah.
it becomes natural instinct. You're not thinking about what's happening. You're naturally responding to it,
Yeah.
right? That's the zone where all that practice that you've done with your body comes together and then it becomes a response, like a response where you have access more than to your memory or to a thought process. That it's accessing the nature of who you are, right?
Mhm.
And that's a lot easier.
Yeah.
And that's a lot more fun, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever heard baseball players talk about how when they're in the zone, they can see the threads on a ball coming at them when they're getting a 90-mile-an-hour pitch? Have you ever heard that? How do they do that? How can they see the thread on a baseball when it's being thrown 90 miles an hour right at them?
Cause like they're trained for it.
They're trained to see it? Kinda, but they're trained in the
Your
zone.
mind
They're
has to
trained to
process
get in the
that.
zone so that they're perceiving more than just with their eyes.
Your mind has to process fast with your brain.
Right, the brain kind of gets out of the way, and what you're perceiving is much more than just with your eyes.
Yes.
That's cool. Is there anything else you want to say about that?
No?
No? Okay, so thank you guys. Yay!
Welcome.
Ellen, you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, whenever you're ready for me to go into the heart coherence example, I can do that. But if you want to talk, anybody else want to talk about what it might feel like to be in that place where you're just really happy to be alive and it feels good? Does anyone have an experience of that? Even not in sports? What's your name? Do you want to come up to the computer and talk to Nia? Do you want to just say out loud?
Come on, speak up.
Don't worry, say right now, but whenever you're all body together, then you're talking nonstop.
Well, talking, I will. I had a really hard class this year behaviorally. So at the beginning of the year, I was looking for a way to connect with them on a personal level so that I could connect with them on an academic level. Because in order to teach them, I have to have all of them. And so I started the journal writing with them, which really allowed them to open up and really write what was on their mind and what was on their heart, and being able to trust that it would stay between us. So that went really well. Learned a lot about these kids from doing that. A lot of them have some difficult home lives and some difficult pasts and stories, and so that's when I decided to pull your book back out, and we read it, and they enjoyed it the first time, and then we kind of put it away, and we were still having issues, so I brought it back out, and that's when I decided to work with the curriculum and see what we could do with it. So once I connected to their hearts, the academics flowed freely.
Awesome.
Wow. And how did you guys feel? How did you feel when she kept bringing the book out and having you do curriculum around the book? How did it make you feel? Was there something? Miss Young noticed a difference in you guys, but what was the feeling that you were feeling that was different?
Trinity has her hand up. Go for it.
Well, sometimes she kept bringing it out, and we had to do like a lot of things with it. And some people might have been like kind of tired of it, but most of us weren't because it was really teaching us something. And the book that you wrote, it gave me a vibe that gave me like, it just made me more confident in myself. Because at first I couldn't talk to people, and now I can talk to people more because I was actually really shy. But then after this, I believed in myself more, and I wasn't as shy, and I was more confident. And my grades did go up, and your book just really made a difference on the class, because a lot of us are probably sometimes insecure or not confident in ourselves, and that helped us.
Wow, that's really beautiful. Did other people have the same experience? Do you feel like it gave you more confidence?
Well, so an interesting fact about Trinity is she's new to our school this year. She came in on the very first writing that I had them do. She apologized for being not so smart. In her words, she described herself as a Dory. So, Dory was forgetful and
Sure.
not very good around people. And so, ironically, Trinity tested the highest in this class, the very first test we did, and continued to shine and excel throughout the year.
Wow. Something that's really, really powerful is how you perceive yourself, like what you think about yourself.
Yes.
And there's a lot of science now that shows us that our perception is one of the most powerful things we have. That's really kind of the most powerful thing we have in becoming who we are, is how we perceive ourselves and what we think of ourselves. How many of you guys in there have ever felt, I don't know, maybe not so smart because maybe someone said you weren't smart, or a relative told you weren't smart, or someone said something negative about you? I have. Has anybody else felt not so smart in a moment?
Yes.
Just in a moment, right?
I feel that every day.
Right. And so what happens when you feel those feelings of something someone's told you that doesn't feel good? Does anybody want to talk about that? Like how it makes you feel and what starts happening if you believe that?
If you keep believing, if you keep degrading yourself, then you're probably not gonna be able to take compliments. people are going to try to be nice to you, and you're just not going to believe them because you believe all those bad things that you said to yourself. And if you keep doing that, it's just going to get harder for you. And those things that you said to yourself are probably not true. If you keep telling yourself, then they're gonna come true.
That's right. Whatever you believe is so. Isn't there a quote? Who said that quote? There was something to that effect. Whatever it is you believe is true. Because it eventually works itself into your system and you become that. You know? But it's okay because you know how to come back to the feeling of faith. So let me ask you guys this. In those times when you feel bad or you have felt, you felt bad because someone said something to you that maybe you weren't smart or maybe you weren't pretty enough or you weren't athletic enough or whatever. What do you do with that? What do you do when someone makes you feel bad? What do you do with that information and that feeling to get over it? Anybody have a suggestion?
When someone tells me, like, whenever they are like being rude to me, most of the time I just play it off. But deep inside it does hurt my feelings, but I don't like let that show most of the time. Because I like to stay positive around people because then it makes them want to be positive. And I just believe in myself, so whenever people like are rude to me, I just don't believe them, and because I don't really care what other people think about me. I'm just gonna be myself.
Right. And you know something else? Have you guys ever been around like a puppy or a dog that was scared, and you go to pet it and it just goes, wow, it jumps at you? But you know that it's scared because maybe it's been kicked a lot or it almost got run over by a car, so it's been out on the street for a long time trying to find food. And so you could even come at it with some food and it'll snip at you, right? Why do you think that is? Why do they snap at you like that? Yeah.
It's been abused.
And it's scared. So when people come at you in whatever fashion that is negative like that, why do you think they're really doing it?
Because someone did it to them.
A lot of times it's because someone did it to them and because they're scared of having it done to them again. So they're going to do it first. So that's the position they're coming from. And so doesn't that make you feel a little more compassion for them and not, it's almost like you don't have to own what they say about you because that's really a statement about them. Right? Like you don't get mad at the puppy because you feel compassion for the puppy. You don't have to feed it because it might bite your hand off. But you feel a little more compassion. You don't take it personally, right?
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's something like that. Is there anything anybody else wants to share about their experience with the little apple tree? Or this year in Miss Young's class?
Right, ever. You probably can't see because the screen's turned.
What made you want to write this book?
What made me want to write it?
She already answered.
He's like, oh, I checked out during that part. It's okay, I'll say it again. See you there. I was working something out inside of myself because I had just gone through a divorce. And I was really thinking about how it happened and what was my part in it. And I woke up in the morning and I had this analogy about the little apple tree and the little farmer. And when I shared that analogy, which really helped me work out my relationship with my ex-husband, my friend said to me, you know, that's a children's book. And I went, oh yeah, it is. And I went upstairs and I wrote it very quickly, like in 3 hours, because it was writing through me. Kind of like how Trinity was saying when her friends were trying to figure out how to get together over the summer, how she just kept writing and it kept coming. That's how it happened. And I'm really happy that I wrote it. Thank you for the question. Anybody else have a question?
Go for it, Max. You're gonna go through the front one.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm Max. What was your favorite part about your book?
Ooh. What was my favorite part about the book? I think the favorite part of my book about the book is when they dream, when they fall, each of them falls asleep and they dream of who they really are. And they wake up and they feel this feeling of being whole. And they hold on to that feeling. And then they allow themselves to express from that feeling. So when she has the dream and wakes up and feels happier than she's ever felt, and he wakes up from the dream and feels happier than he's ever felt, and they each know that holding on to that feeling is holding on to the truth of who they are, and then begin expressing from there. So that's my favorite part of the book. What's your favorite part?
The same part you said. Yeah, that the dream part. I like how like their like dreams came true, and yeah, it was pretty cool how it like how their dreams came true, and how the farmer had like a apple tree farm. It's pretty cool
Why do you think their dreams came true?
because they're like because I think they had like once they had a dream for it, it's like they had like a goal to like do that.
Beautiful. And what's the difference between that goal and any other goal? You know, like maybe someone has, do you guys know the difference between those feelings of when you have a goal, like I have a goal to go to college, versus the feeling of, wow, I really want to go to UCLA. You know, the difference between a goal to get to college and an excitement to go to a particular college. Can you recognize the difference in that?
Yeah, because
Yeah.
if if you wanted to go college, you're committed to go there, and if you want to go to like a place like for like the fun of it, yeah, that's another way of a goal too.
And so with this dream, the dreams that they had and the dreams coming to fulfillment, what do you think the difference was between the feeling they had coming out of that dream and just a regular goal?
Like they felt more like happier to like do it, and like they felt like way more happier to do the goal because like they wanted to do that, and they're like committed to do the goal.
Because of the way it makes them feel deep down inside, right?
Yeah.
So what do you think those dreams were telling them?
Like
I mean,
they're telling them like this is like a better like more happier goal that like for your heart for.
because it's truer to who you are specifically. You know, I'm not going to go to sleep and have a dream about being a farmer. There's nothing wrong with that dream, but it's not mine, right?
Yeah.
So that was the power in it. What was that it was who they are. That dream, those dreams were giving them a clear picture of who they are. And we know that they knew that because of the way it made them feel deeply, deeply happy. And that's why the dreams came true the way that they did.
Yeah.
Anything else?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for sharing.
Okay.
Okay, Leah has a question for him. Go for it. Go to the screen though.
Can you guys hear the questions they're asking, or should I repeat them?
Here.
I'm Aaliyah, and I was wondering if you would make a second book or if it was just a one-time feeling.
Oh. So far, I have not been inspired to write a second book. Although, I have to say right away, I was inspired to, I was aware of the possibility of creating a lot of books off of it. In other words, there are a lot of different potentials in that scenario. So, I mean, what if the farmer went to sleep and dreamed that he was living in New York City and trading commodities and woke up really happy about doing that? Then where would the story go? What do you think that would mean if the farmer, instead of dreaming that he was a farmer with all this giant orchard and he was happier than ever to have this farm? What do you think he should do? There's my question. What do you think the farmer should do if he had fallen asleep and dreamt that he was a big guy, a financial guy living in New York City, and he woke up and he was happier than ever about that? What should he have done? Anybody?
Well, that would take a different turn in the whole story, because the story is based off a little apple tree. And that's New York City doesn't like come to mind when you're reading one of those books. So that'll take a big turn in the story. And for the farmer, I don't think that the little apple tree, she probably would have already been herself, because I don't think if he wanted to be a big financial person in New York City, he would have even started a farm.
But what if how many of you guys have ever started something and realized, oh, I don't really like this? I have, right? So what do you think the farmer should do? If he had a dream to be a financial guy living in New York City, what do you think he should do?
Mikey says he should try to be a big financial person in New York City.
That's right. He should follow his dream. And what do you think that would do to the little apple tree?
Oh, the tree would die.
What's that?
She's gonna die.
No. Anybody?
If the tree wanted to be a big financial person, who would they be? Group?
I couldn't hear that, I'm sorry.
If the tree wanted to be a financial person, who would they be? Group?
Sure. If the tree wanted to be like a financial person, and so did the farmer, they would probably create a way to farm that produced a lot of apples and a lot of finances. That's what they would. It would be a unique creation between the two of them. But here's what I wanted to share with you. If the farmer fell asleep and woke up with this dream that made him so happy to be a financial guy in New York City, he's got to stand up in that truth just the same way the little apple tree did when she realized she wasn't supposed to live in a barn, right? And so what happens is, as he lovingly takes off for New York City, it leaves space for someone who really does have the dream of being a farmer to come into the apple tree's life. You understand? As long as she's being that apple tree, the right farmer is going to come. But as long as the wrong farmer is holding that space, there's no boom. So you see, whenever you follow that, it's always the best for everybody. Did that make sense?
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
And the tree, the apple tree, now that she's out of the barn, where is her water coming from? The rain, right? And the sun. So she's pretty good because she's naturally getting support from being herself.
That's right.
So,
And that's just the way it always goes. You will always get support when you're standing up in your truth. So, okay, this all came from the question of, am I writing a second book? So I have considered writing books with different options like that. Do you guys think something like that would be helpful or no?
Yes.
Yes or no?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Why?
Because like you taught us to love ourselves in the first book, you might teach us another lesson that will help us throughout our life in the other book that we write. If you're planning on writing another one.
Right. In another circumstance, how do I keep being myself and loving myself, right? Because not everyone is going to respond the same way. Some people are wounded and scared like the puppy. And some people are in this book realizing they have a different dream. And that should be okay, right?
I have a question for you guys. So if, like the puppy, someone is wounded and scared, does that mean they have to be that way the rest of their lives?
No.
What makes you say that?
Say you children talking about like the doctor here, they're picking on the person that's done doctoring and the person that's in the job. It can seem like sad, scared for the this life.
That's a great answer.
But also in the example that I have, it's like certain people, like their friends, sometimes they, like, if you have a friend and they leave and keep getting friends and they leave you, then you're just going to get used to it and you're probably not going to trust nobody. And if one person that's actually true and will stay with you comes into your life and you just don't trust them, don't even try to get to know them, then you're giving up the chance to put that missing piece back in. And whenever I don't trust someone, I try to give everybody a chance. And if they let me down, it's fine. But it does hurt.
Well, one of the things I want to talk about is how when things feel like you encounter an experience that makes you have an emotion that makes you feel sad, it doesn't really mean that's who you really are. It's just an emotion that's moving through you, right? So I want to give you some ideas and some tools to help you stay in that place, because really, your best friend is always your own heart. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Can you trust your heart if you're in a fearful place? Not always, right? So I have these little, these are kind of funny. They're Santa Clauses, but it's only because this is all I have right now to explain what I want to explain. And it's about, so when that little apple tree was in, and everyone can come up a little closer.
Stand up and move closer so you can see.
Wow.
Nia, I'm
Yeah.
putting out these brushing nesting dolls. And
Beautiful.
there's a big one, so they're all, you know how these all fit within each other, right?
Yeah.
Like that.
Okay, let's
So,
take a,
you can't really tell.
hey, if you're blocking the computer, this way. There you go.
So all of us, depending on our emotion that's moving through our body, are either in our little self, really contracted and fearful like that puppy, or we're in our bigger self. And the end of the book, where was the apple tree? Our bigger self, right? Because she was radiating, she was feeling happy. So our emotions are just telling us which way we're going. We could either be going more fearful, more angry, feeling more separate from people, or we can go this direction, right? What do you think, what's going to make you happiest in life? Being your bigger self. Mm-hmm. And how about seeing that in somebody else? Can you, even if somebody's acting this way, can you remember that they have this side of them? Now that's not easy all the time, because a lot of times when somebody else gets really frustrated, we can get caught up in their energy. So I have this little example. So Nia, I've got this glass jar, and it's got water in it, and it's got a little plastic thing. Does someone want to take that over to Nia and just show her what it is?
Great. Ellen, stay kind of to your right a little bit. You're just on the edge of the camera. Thank you.
Okay, so you can bring it back.
Got it.
Now my sister just visited, and she left me this. It's a frother for milk. And I thought, oh, I won't use it for milk, but I'll use it for this explanation. So if you're starting to feel a little sad, right, or a little hurt, what happens next? You start to spin, right? And what happens if you keep thinking a lot about that problem? And where do you go? You go to the bottom, right? But what happens if you stop thinking about the things that are bothering you and you maybe focus on peace instead, or what you're grateful for? And you stop that momentum, what happens? You float back up. So this is an analogy to this part of yourself. This is how a tool that when you start feeling that wobble, oftentimes if you're not steady in that place within your heart, you can get knocked over. So if somebody here is wobbling, whoops, and knocks this way, what happens? Everyone gets knocked over, right? So that's why you might have a fight, or you might, the other way when you're in stress is fight, flight, or hide from sight. Have you heard that? Right? Mm-hmm. So that's a part of the body that's in stress. All the biochemicals start to put you on defense, and that's what's happening in that little puppy when they're fearful. And when you go into your heart, and what's a simple thing that you do when you're starting to feel bad that you could use? Sleep. Yeah, that's a good way of stopping that negative momentum. And what happens if you build up these tools, as we're going to talk about in the next couple minutes, and if somebody is wobbling here, what happens to you if you're strong? So you don't get hurt by other people as much anymore. Okay, so this is what we're aiming for with heart coherence. It's just a fancy word that means that your heart is at peace when there's a lot of turmoil around, and you still feel good about yourself, and you can be happy, not because you don't care about other people, because you care about them, but you know that if you get all wobbly and fall down here, can you help somebody else? Not as much as if you're in your happy, strong, centered place, like the apple tree at the end. Was she doing as much good in the barn, or when she was her true self? Okay, so now this idea is that when you're wobbly, now this is actually your body starts, if you can get some space around and you start to feel like you're getting frustrated, you can actually spin to your right like this. And that actually changes the way your brain is flowing. And if that doesn't seem too cool to you, you can just take a deep breath. And not like this, but like really slow and fill up your belly. Hold it for a little bit, and then you take, they call it take 5. Just go like, and then when you do that, you can think of something that makes you feel happy or peaceful. So you can take 5 deep breaths. We all do that together? 1. Not really, you don't want to go as shallow as you're doing real shallow, like you want to go deep and slow, and then that changes the biochemicals in the body. There's a lot of science that says it actually calms you down. And what do you think it does on this line of dolls here when you take breath like that? Does it send you in this direction? Okay, so that's why it's worth it. So you can hear a lot of these people say, be grateful or take a breath. But if you know what the results are over time, it's worth it. And then you develop your own toolbox or a cool box of all the things that work for you. So if you take a deep breath, now think of something that's easy and makes you feel peaceful. Can someone share with me an idea of what makes them feel peaceful? Cheesecake would work. Your dog. Dogs are great. Loving, happy dogs. Trinity? Music.
Not that kind of music, like not bad.
Not bad music. Yeah, so that's really wise. She's saying there's a difference because if you listen to real negative music or watch a negative movie, which way do you think it's going to take you? Down. So you have to care enough about how you feel to say, I'm going to think things that make me feel peaceful. I'm going to take some breaths when I get upset. I'm going to take some moments for myself. I'm going to take a nap or sleep, like you said. What are some other music, happy music?
Getting lost in the game.
Getting lost in a game because you're really focusing. That's like being in the zone. You're going into those states.
Listening to local music.
Well, that makes it, if you're feeling down here, listening to lonely music may make you feel connected to people. But if you're up here, what would listening to lonely music do? It would take you the wrong way, right? Or not, it's not really wrong. Well, you can listen to lonely music, but you might also want to see how that makes you feel about other people. And maybe see if there's another kind of music that makes you feel a little bit happier. And experiment, because you're the one who knows you best. But the goal in this is, because at this state, when you feel really expanded, like the big apple tree, you're doing what makes you feel happy, and you're helping other people feel happy too. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so I've been working with the University of New Mexico and developing, this is what they call social and emotional intelligence. And they say these kinds of things are more important than grades, more important than what else do you think? How good you are at sports, more important than books, or how much, it depends on the books, but how much money you have. These kinds of understandings are what makes you have a happy life and helps you be successful. And they've done studies on all the people who have a lot of stuff. They might have a lot of cars, they might have a lot of degrees, and a lot of success in the world. But what do you think that they find makes people happiest? It's kindness. Kindness. So remember that when you're feeling a little bit frustrated, we need if you guys could do a project for this summer. Would anyone be interested in doing an experiment over the summer?
Miss.
Okay, so one of the things that you can do every morning is think about why you're grateful to be alive. And it can be easy, like I've got a pillow, or look, the sun is
There's food in life.
there's food. Yeah, it can be grateful for anything. So first thing in the morning, 10 things you're grateful for. In the middle of the afternoon, when you start to maybe feel a little tired or bored or frustrated or something, take a few minutes again to take those deep breaths. Think about your puppy, or think about what it's like to have cheesecake, or think about what it's like to go to the river and put your toes in the water, something like that. And think about what makes you happy. And then, how about smiling? Can you smile at somebody that you don't know?
Because sometimes they don't.
Okay.
I do it all the time.
And if you're comfortable with that. If you're not comfortable with that, maybe you could think about, could you just send a positive thought to somebody instead of a negative thought to somebody to make them feel a little better? Well, it depends on, if you're down here, if someone doesn't smile back, it might affect you, right? But if you get so good at smiling just because it makes you feel good, you don't care if somebody smiles back or not. Because you want them to be happy, but you know they have their own choices, right? So they find that they've done studies in psychology and in sociology that people who smile to other people on the train or start talking, they think that they're going to be interrupting people or people won't like it, but everybody actually really likes it. Most people really appreciate kindness and somebody smiling. And I've had people who said, I'm like, hi, how's it going? Nice to see you. And they were grumpy. And then the next time they see me, they'll say, I'm sorry, I was grumpy. I didn't, but your smile helped me that day. So you might not know. It might not be immediate, but it might come back around. So it's an experiment. So I'm saying, take this summer and practice and see what do you think your ability to learn is when you're in this state, like the Big Apple tree? Is it better or less than when you're scared and stressed? It's better. So it's easier to learn. It's easier to have fun. It's easier. Do you think your body is healthier or less healthier when you're happy?
It's healthier.
It's healthier. So there's really no downside to this. So what are some other things you can put in your toolbox? Nia, do you have any suggestions?
I think working on that is perfect. I think it's because what it is it's bringing your awareness to the way that you feel and choosing in each moment which direction you're going to whirl. You get to choose it, and so I think that's a good practice. Ellen, it's amazing what you brought. I think it's so fantastic.
So
I'm going to practice this summer.
Okay. So the other thing is, just take a moment and be grateful if you're drinking water, if you're eating food, that you have food. And just be in that space. But there's also the other thing is, when you get your momentum spinning at a higher level this way, and you're focused on things that you really love, it not only can you have a negative spiral, you can have a positive one. And that was the state that Nia was in when she wrote the book. Because she was just receiving, and she had all these really good ideas. So you get to be creative. And Trinity, you want to be a singer? And where she went? There she is. So in that place, it's more likely that the energy that you would sing with would reach people, and then people would say, I really want her to sing. Who else has a dream that they want to share? That was in their IM part, or their college and career part.
Sure.
What's yours?
I have a dream to go to
Can you say it a little
I
louder?
had a dream to go to
To the army. Okay. So that would make you feel proud, and what else? Like you're helping people? Okay.
I wanted to be in the Marines, but my friend named Chen.
Yeah. Well, then we can think about what are some other ways that you can have those same feelings in something that is similar. But you can use this idea of your emotions with any of your ideas or aspirations in life. Anybody else have any questions, or does this make sense to you?
Yes.
She remembers now.
Starbucks worker. Well, I actually used to be, I used to have a coffee shop, and I used to greet people every day. And some people would come in for coffee, and some people said, I don't even want coffee, I just came in because you smile. Really? So when you're a nice person and you care about people, you can help in very big ways or very, everyday small ways. It all adds up, and we all want to have a good, happy life and be of value, right? So it doesn't have to be, it's wonderful Nia's famous and she's got all this talent, but you can make it your life valuable just by being yourself every day. It doesn't have to look like a certain thing, but you want to listen to your heart and follow your own truth, just like the apple tree did. Any other comments, guys? Kelly, do you have anything to add?
They're fixing to get their books, and they want to tell you something.
Thank you, Nia.
Thank you, Nia. You're my best friend.
You guys are amazing. You're so amazing.
Yeah, I'm better than my sister you saw last year.
What's that?
I'm better than my sister you saw last year.
I had his sister here last year. She was the one that came up and hugged you right away.
Oh, you know what? I love going back and seeing the little movies of that. Remember when I had Dougie? I had my son's dog with me that day.
Yes.
Ellen Dougie was sitting on my lap.
Come on, man, I want a doggy.
Ellen knows Dougie. Ellen's taking care of Dougie. I just want to say thank you to Miss Young for sharing her inspiration. You see how inspired you are by her sharing her inspiration? And she was inspired by me sharing my inspiration? You guys are incredible. Ellen, thank you so much for doing this. And what else do I want to say? Just how many of you guys are going to do this experiment this summer? I am.
I think I've already been doing it.
Yeah, and
Honey,
you
yes.
guys were journaling, right?
Yes.
So keeping track of your gratefulness, anything in the morning and evening is even more powerful because it helps change the brain to create more of these neurocircuits that allow you to see things differently. So you can go through life and see more positive things and have more positive experiences if you take the time to almost like program your own body and your mind and your heart. And then your heart will lead your brain and you can see things that are really beautiful and fun and inspiring and like awe. So sometimes my brain is thinking like, I should be worried about this, and I'll stop and say, no, brain, my head, you're following my heart, and I want to see things that are good in the world, and I want to see things that are full of awe. So you can do that. Any other tools that you might want to put in your toolbox for this experiment this summer? So maybe you guys can, through Miss Young, at the end of the summer, write to Nia and tell her if there's anything that you feel different between now. She'd probably really want to know.
I would love to
I
know that
would
as well.
love that.
Yes. So they are more than welcome to come back and visit me, and I will take their letters and everything.
Yeah. Does that sound like fun? Keep track.
Thank you guys so much. I would love that.
This book is amazing.
We have one more question for you.
Okay.
Go up to the screen. Tell her your name.
My name's Azalea, and I was wondering, what was it like to be in the show Walker, Texas Ranger?
What was it like?
Mm-hmm.
What was it like?
That's a broad question. Do you want to know what it was like being on the set daily, or how I felt about being on the show, or how it affected my life? What do you mean?
How did it affect your life?
Well, it was interesting being on Walker. The fun part of it was that I got to learn how to do martial arts. And I got, yeah, and so I got to do a lot of really fun physical things with some amazing martial artists. It was also an interesting thing being on such a famous show. It was the #1 Saturday night show, and what was really cool about it being the #1 Saturday night show is that it's a show about positivity. It's a show about heroes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it was really nice to interact with fans who believe that heroes exist. And so those were the two greatest parts of it for me. Did you watch the film?
Yeah, I watched it with my
What
grandpa.
did you like about it? Or did you like it?
Yeah, I liked it a lot.
What did you like about that show?
I like how you guys just like did things for the world that would like save people and.
Did you guys hear what she said?
No.
I asked what she liked about the TV show Walker, Texas Ranger. And she said she liked how we're always saving people and doing things for the world. And so if you guys could put yourselves in a place of doing good things for people and saving the world, how would that make you feel? It'd make you feel good, right? Everybody would feel good about doing something kind and nice. So let's do it. That's our experiment for the summer.
Yes.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Last minute questions.
It's more of a statement.
No?
This is more of a statement.
Okay, say your statement.
I learned every day that if you make someone feel good, then you feel good about yourself.
Yes. Yup. Exactly. She wrote on I learned to show a statement.
And I wrote in everybody's shirt or yearbook to stay positive, because if you stay positive, like Miss Ellen said, then you just make other people want to be positive too.
That's right. It's infectious, isn't it?
Yes.
Absolutely. Is there anything you guys want to say to Miss Young?
Thank you for carving this in my brain. We love you. And thank you for carving this in my brain. I will use it for the rest of my life.
Awesome.
What's in the, I just thought of another tool. Nia has a great laugh. Can you just laugh for us? Can we all take like 10 seconds now to laugh at the same time?
You're so funny.
Okay, let's laugh.
Ready? Go.
3. I made it worse.
What do you guys say?
We love you.
Bye.
Bye. Don't end the Skype call, please. Bye. You're a quiet boy. You did the whoa.
Come to the screen. All of you come to the screen. Well, duck down.
Oh, I don't need to duck down, basically. I don't need to duck down.
I think we're gonna fit everybody.
Not everybody.
Sorry, Azucena.
Max.
Do the whoa. Hit the whoa.
She doesn't know how to. Teach her.
Hit the whoa.
How to hit the whoa.
She did it just a second ago.
Hit the
Mikey
whoa.
did it.
Hit the whoa.
Go like this.
Oh.
I'm gonna tell my mom. Every time you people try to do the whoa.
Bye.
Hit the whoa. Hit the whoa. Hit the whoa.
Bye.
She hit the whoa. That's so funny. We were in the car with her for an hour and 8 minutes.
Uh-huh.
So what are we gonna do for the rest of 50 minutes of school?
What are we going to do? We are going to clean up the room.